Are you recording?
Kevin.
Are you recording?
Kevin.
Yeah. What? What?
You know,
What?
Kevin.
The suspense is killing me.
A couple of days ago, you messaged me and you said, "Hey, I hate our listeners. You should do the news from now on because the listeners are icky and I only believe in fake news." Those were your exact quotes. I'll put that text message up on our Twitter account, the official UnPop Twitter account, because we
mean
have
X?
one.
It's on the X account.
No, we're on Twitter.
My heart goes out to all our listeners. Okay, what? Where is this going?
Where's what going?
You said you're putting a tweet. Is there a punchline to this?
No.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I don't really do punchlines.
I can tell. This is a painful. This isn't even deadpan comedy. It's just dead.
Dude,
like,
I got 2 hours of sleep. I don't want to hear it.
You don't do punchlines on 2 hours of sleep?
No, I feel like I got punched in the face.
I think the punchline is you got 2 hours of sleep. What did you do, baby?
Dude,
what happened?
I'm moving. In 3 hours, I'm going to have a team of movers here.
That's not the reason why you don't sleep. That's
the reason I didn't sleep.
Is it? Why? Because you were nervous about moving? Like what's going on?
No.
Hold on. Hold on. Little UnPop therapy session.
Okay.
This one's free.
I'm already on a
All
couch,
right.
so let's do this.
What's going on, baby? Why are you not sleeping? What's going on?
Well, I usually do, but
I know, but you didn't. What's going on?
Because
Let's get to the root of this problem. What's your childhood trauma? Let's get to this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my childhood trauma. So, okay, Professor Kev. So,
not a professor. I'm a therapist.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
All right.
Doctor
okay.
either way.
All right, Doc.
All right, Doc.
Doc Kev.
Doc Kev.
Doc Captain Kev.
All right, Doc. Nope. Just doctor right now. It's okay.
Just doctor right now? Okay, sorry.
Yep,
Let me get my my therapy voice on.
Be productive. No, you don't.
Right. Sorry.
Therapy voice.
I just procrastinated pretty hard on packing all the way. Like, I'm probably 85% of the way packed.
Yep. See, there's a problem. You're a serial procrastinator. All right, we're already making progress.
Yeah,
here. Look at the little wins that we're getting. We're identifying.
I guess
problems.
I'm a serial procrastinator because Monday through Friday I was too busy working my regular job and doing freelance work and working on YouTube and playing D&D and also finding time for myself. In the middle of the chaos, you got to find time for yourself. And then also, I went and watched a movie that made me want to jump down a well. So,
All right. Well, what kind of cereal are you eating while you're procrastinating? Let's get into that a little bit.
Bran flakes, because I don't deserve anything else.
Gross! No, we're done with this bit. Starting the podcast now.
Hey, did you fix the theme music that everyone was complaining about?
Yes, I did, because everyone was complaining about it in my head. Yes, Odie.
A little something like this. Did I do it right?
I'll take it. Yeah, sure. Sure, I'll take that, Odie. That's great. It sounds a little something like this. Yeah, all right. Here we are. You ready to clap?
I am so ready to clap.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the UnPop podcast. I am your Capitan, Kevin Miner. Him, totally siempre. With me as always is...
Oh, my cue. Odie Matthews, the chef, cooking up content and all the delicious, yummy, nummy, gummy, wummy summies.
Go back to bed. Just go back to bed. We're done here. This is just. I know you're fine with that.
I am,
but
that
you
felt
can't.
good to me.
Okay, well,
here's
that was a joke. So here we go. We're getting. We're doing UnPop. It's been a crazy week. You're moving. I have had to cut many a thing out of my life. I had a big realization this week. I had a heavy week. I was like, oh, if I continue to do to operate as I'm going with literally everything on my plate that I've assembled for the spring, I'm going to die. Like,
oh yeah, you're Sweeney Todd. Yeah.
Just everything. It was just everything, and work is work is ramping up. Like we're talking about growing the group.
Yeah,
a
how
lot
is the
this
strip
year.
club that you work at?
It's great. The group is amazing. We're less like a ragtag group of male and female strippers, more like a family.
So you're like Magic Mike.
It's like Magic Mike if Magic Mike could not dance as well. Yep, I refuse to take lessons. Actually,
I refuse.
I say every night we put our hands in the center before we go out and strip, and I say, "What's the number one rule?" And everybody says, "No dance lessons." And then
dance lessons.
And then we go out, and each of us earns probably a solid $20 to $50. It's great.
Hey, you know what? $20 or $50 for not dancing?
We're doing it for the love of strip.
That's pretty good.
We're doing it for the love, baby. It ain't about the money.
For the love of strip. For the love of strip.
What's
Kevin.
the news before this goes further?
Yes. You like I said, you texted me and you said I hate the listeners and I
yes, we've been through this. Go.
Okay, sorry, just recapping in case anybody.
You don't have to.
ahead.
It was less than 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, sometimes people skip ahead. So first and foremost, for news, George Foreman passed away.
Whoa! Wait, what?
Yeah, George Foreman passed away.
Oh,
I think
my
at
God.
the time of recording, like yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, so
the inventor of the Foreman grill, famously the thing he did.
Grill maker.
What else did he do? We don't know. It's lost to time.
Wasn't he friends with Muhammad Ali or something like that?
He was a fucking international heavyweight boxing champion, Odie. He was a champion. He was a champion.
Oh, I thought he helped McDonald's with their grill or something.
The man knocked people out for a living. And everyone will know him for the grill.
So this means we'll never get George Foreman versus Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson versus Mr. Beast.
George Foreman, even from beyond the grave, George Foreman would kick Jake Paul's ass. That's what I'm saying right now. I say we do Jake Paul Ghost Hunters boxing match versus George Foreman. And you get those annoying 3 white kids from YouTube that do all the ghost hunting that get freaked out by nothing every 5 minutes so that they can keep their viewer count. Remember they went to like a haunted town and they paid a hobo to tell them that the town was haunted, and you could tell that they just paid a man who was mentally unwell to say things to a camera.
Dude,
yeah, get them and Jake Paul. It's actually going to be found footage coverage of the fight against George Foreman with Jake Paul. It's just going to be them all running around inside of a
ghost hunting episode ever.
An abandoned boxing gym with Jake Paul going, "He's kicking my ass." He's kicking my ass.
Dude, so you want to know a little fun fact about those ghost hunting shows?
Yes.
This is going to blow your mind, but did you know that a lot of them are fake?
No way. What? Whoa.
Yeah,
that's
dude,
scary. Hold on.
Hold on. I'm going to blow your mind.
They're fake? You mean they're not finding real ghosts, Odie?
No. So, the Stanley Hotel that's in Colorado that The Shining is based off of?
Yeah.
So I went there last year, or 2 years ago now, and I wanted to film and do like a little fake ghost hunting thing.
Yeah.
And the hotel was like, "Oh yeah, no, you're not allowed to film here. It's illegal." And I was like, "Oh, like what about like you have to get like special permission like all those YouTubers?" And they were like, "No, our lawyers go after them. They're not supposed to post any of that."
Oh, snap.
So, yeah. Anyways, moving on. I've got a couple pieces of regular news that I gathered this week that I thought were interesting. A mixture of try to keep it light, right? Try to keep it light.
Keep it light.
So I thought
keep it fun. Keep it light. Keep it fun.
This was fun.
Yep.
So Ryan Reynolds came out and he doesn't deny that Deadpool and Wolverine, the nice pool, is mocking Justin Bordani.
Who is that?
But he
I don't know who Justin Bordani is.
Well, hold on, I'm going to tell you the whole story. But he said that you can't. Ryan Reynolds said you can't sue over hurt feelings. Now, for anybody that doesn't know who Justin Bordani is, I don't know how to say his last name.
I don't know how to say his name.
He is the one that is in that giant controversy with Blake Lively about the movie they made together about sexual harassment and like trying to do smear campaigns, all of that. He's that guy.
Wait.
So
Okay.
Apparently, Nice Pool was in fact making fun of him.
Good.
Yeah. And apparently that guy sucks. Like,
yeah,
apparently
good.
Ryan Reynolds isn't super nice either. Like, apparently a lot of that is a facade.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Oh, wait, you mean the guy who played Van Wilder's a dick? No way.
You mean the guy who's extremely funny and charismatic on screen is probably a dick in real life to other co-stars?
That blows my mind. Anyway, okay, so I normally don't know celebrity controversy like I understand this one. I think it might have even just been The Daily that covered it because this was a big deal. Because like,
it was, yeah.
There's been evidence that's been found of Justin, whatever his name is, communicating with a firm that was launching a campaign against Blake Lively to make her look bad and
Smear
give her bad press. Yeah, but not just a smear campaign. Like, there are texts from him that's like, he's like, I want her buried. And it's like, dude, what? Like, you're a bad man. You're a bad person for that.
And it's really sad that he made a movie that should have been, like, one of those movies that says something important in the topic that it's talking about abusive relationships and sexual assault, which is what that movie...
Instead, he used it to create one around the movie.
So I thought that was
maybe
interesting.
This is like a Joaquin Phoenix thing. Remember when he pretended he was quitting acting and then he filmed that? This is all going to come around.
Oh, God.
And
that thing that nobody saw?
Yeah, Justin Boldani's going to be like... He's going to be like, I actually was character acting as a horrible person for years. And this is my documentary about me being a horrible person. And then it's just like a bunch of outtakes that are clearly recent. And he's just like, it just feels so bad to do that. It's just, I don't know how I could keep doing this. I don't know, guys. This might be over. And then it cuts to him just being an absolute dickhole to someone.
Again.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And he's
do you want to give him the fuck you of the week?
Honestly, I think he definitely he gets part of it for sure.
All right, I'll play part of the fuck you of the week.
Part of it.
All right, cool.
Fuck you. Second piece of news.
What else you got?
And you actually texted me about this, which I thought was really funny. But Darren Aronofsky is eyeing a Cujo remake for Netflix.
Yes, Cujo, the famous story by Stephen King about an evil dog.
Saint Bernard, right?
Yeah, Stephen King kind of, like, he went through a period where he was like, what if blank was evil? And that was like the template for What if cars came to life, but they were evil? And then it's like,
it's the Stan Lee version of making superheroes. What if he could stick to walls and shoot webs? What if he could catch on fire and fly? Like,
what if and then like what if this machine got a taste for human blood and was evil? Like, you know, like there's a lot of those stories. What if when you buried things in this cemetery they came back to life but were evil? Like, that's the whole
animals.
Yeah, there's a person. There's a baby.
The pet.
Have you seen that
right.
movie?
It's been a long.
Yeah, I was gonna say the scariest part of that movie is that they moved next to a goddamn highway with fucking 16-wheelers going by all the time.
Nuts.
That's the scariest part.
Stephen King likes to kill people with semis.
You don't need a pet cemetery. You need to relocate.
You need a stoplight.
Yeah, you need to petition the town board for a lower speed limit, you idiots. Yeah. All right.
God, why isn't there a weight limit for semis coming through this town? Come on.
What else you got for news?
Okay, so this one is a little bit of a deeper cut, and I thought it was interesting. So, there is a director, and I forgot to write down his name, so bear with me for 1 second.
A director.
He has worked with Daniel Craig,
Mr. Director,
in a new movie that came out. I guess it's technically coming out.
Ryan
this
Johnson.
Year. It's from Luca.
Ryan Johnson.
Luca Guadagnino. I'm probably saying his name wrong, and for that,
I apologize. I'll take it. Luca Guadagnino.
He did Challengers. He did Call Me by Your Name with Armie Hammer and
cool.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yep.
He did Bones and All, another Timothy Chalamet movie that's pretty good. So he did the movie Queer, and he is eyeing to direct a movie for DC called Sergeant Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically like World War II era hero, kind of like Captain America, but not quite. And originally Daniel Craig was
normal
rumored,
man.
Yeah, and originally Daniel Craig was rumored to be a part of it, but then it came out that like that was just 100% fan speculation.
Yep.
Everybody wanted that, and now it looks like Colin Farrell
might
into
take
over the role. Yeah, dude, I fucking love Colin Farrell.
Sergeant Rock is DC?
DC.
Okay, yeah. I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Then eventually we get, Sergeant Rock versus the Penguin.
That'd be
you
good.
just have Colin Farrell playing the good guy and the bad guy
himself.
Just a penultimate. All the tension in the scene would be gone. I'd just be watching. I'd be like, wow, he's such a good actor. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, Sergeant Rock, Colin Farrell.
I'm a fan.
Fine.
I love.
Wait, is Sergeant Rock Irish?
Pieces.
I don't know. Should we cast
Colin Farrell can be anything.
I know.
That's so true. And then my last little bit of news, because we're talking about a Disney live-action remake, I thought I would throw some Disney news on there.
Oh, yeah, hit me. There's always Disney news. How many people got lost in the park this week?
17,000.
Okay.
Does that help?
That's a big number, but I believe it. Everyone's
right?
like, the park's the size of a city. And I'm like, that's a frightening fact. That should scare you. Keep
but
going.
Coco 2 is in the works.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Coco was good.
I'm a big fan of Coco.
People like Coco.
I like mine hot, preferably. But yeah,
wow.
Coco 2's in the works. I've been seeing a lot of news from Disney about, and not all of it. I don't know if a lot of it is true, because some of it comes from like clickbaity websites where they just report on anything in order to try to like get a story that hits,
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, this person's casting this and this person's casting this. So there's a lot of like weird Disney sequels on the horizon, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, the one that I thought was interesting is Coco, because that one felt like a very like closed loop story. I guess.
Did you look into the news that I sent you about Triple H being?
Yes, I couldn't find anything.
So that was like everything I saw. So this might be fan speculation, but there's Triple H is rumored to be what the
Kratos.
Fuck? Yeah, Kratos in God of War, which I like. Even if it's fan casting, I just want to throw this out there. Good job. Like picking a wrestler who's not The Rock to play a famous character, because I cannot stomach another franchise helmed by DTR.
What?
I can't do it. DTRJ needs to take a break. No more of that. Also, I do want to share this because this was from an actual interview. Werner Herzog encourages aspiring filmmakers to work in sex clubs and asylums to finance their first films. Of course he would. Like this. Of course. No one should be offended by this news. You should just go look at the things he has made artistically and go, that tracks. He wants people to make more of this art. He makes demented art. He loves that kind of stuff. He loves broken things. He loves dirty, dark things. Werner Herzog, I feel like if I asked a question as an interviewer to Werner Herzog and he came back with any sort of a dark or seemingly like spurious or morally ambiguous answer, I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah. And I would just keep going with the interview. That wouldn't be a headline for me.
Exactly.
Like
100%.
It's like, dude, yes, of course you recommend that, sir. So I had that, and then I had that, Triple H, and then I had one other thing I wanted to talk about this week, but I totally forget what it was, man.
Was it how much you loved Snow White?
Absolutely. Let's get into, I believe, before we get into Snow White, we're going to do a little list.
It's time for a list. Some might be good, some might be shit, and I know you just cannot wait. The scale goes garbage, bad, fun, good, then great.
Oh, we're doing the list first?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You got to do the list first. I don't want to talk about Snow White first. We got to do the list. All right, here we go. So you and I have decided that we were going to watch Snow White this week. Spoilers, it's bad.
It's what do you mean it's bad?
Spoilers, it's bad. Good songs, though. But then, in light of that, so that we can get... I think mostly we're just getting this out of the way. I think we're doing this now so we don't have to do it again, so that in the future when we're watching Disney films, we can say to people, we've already done our top 5 and bottom 5 Disney films. Feel free to reference this episode. We never have to do this again. Because Disney has an insane catalog of movies that they've worked on.
Fuck, do they ever?
Yeah, I went through. First off, I learned a couple things. Every time we do a list, I learn a couple things about myself. One, I learned that I watched way more Disney-produced movies as a kid than I thought originally. Like way more. Because I was going through the list, I'm like, I've watched all of these. Not only that, I have fond memories of being a kid and watching these movies. Two, I learned that my Disney top 5 is barely mainstream. And 3, I've learned that I mostly have dishonorable mentions for this. So,
you know what's funny about that? Here's what I learned about this. I learned that, one, I can't wait to move because my neighbors downstairs are drilling at 7:30 in the morning.
Jesus
so
Christ.
Sorry if you hear that.
No, I can't. Because you got the pop screen and a nice mic now, baby.
Hell yeah. I haven't seen a lot of Disney movies that people think are bad.
Okay.
My experience with Disney movies, because I wasn't allowed to watch Disney as a kid, so I missed out on everything.
All the bad movies.
All from the 80s, all from the 90s, most of the early 2000s. Like, I missed out on all of that. So
you missed out on, like, kind of the golden era of Disney.
My list is actually mainly my top 5 and honorable mentions because being old enough to choose what I saw, I was like, oh, this looks good. I'm going to see this. I'm not going to see that. So, like, I kind of got lucky there.
All right, well, let's get into the goddamn list. Let's go top 5. You want to start or you want me to start? You go.
I'll start with top. You start with bottom.
Okay. Number 5.
Top 5. Number 5. We've talked about this movie before.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yep.
Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, sweet.
Is fantastic.
That's on my top 5 too.
It'll all, dude. Literally last night at D&D, there was 2 levers to disarm traps.
Wrong lever.
And we pulled one, and the DM looked at us and went, "Wrong lever, crunk," and everybody was like, "Yes."
Yeah, we love that moment. Good.
Yes.
So Emperor's New Groove, that's a good one. It's on my top 5, so we can dig into that a little bit more when I get there, and then we'll talk about how much we both love it. Number 5 for me, and this is what I mean by my top 5. I feel like a lot of people would be like, "Oh shit, yeah!" Like I got a lot of deep cuts in my top 5. Number 5, DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. This movie is phenomenal. DuckTales is like. I think DuckTales is like the most for our generation, for anyone in our age group, right? Like this like I would say maybe like a 10-year age window. DuckTales was either a franchise that you loved from like age 5 on, or something that you were getting into around like 4 and under. And for me, I was right around like 4 or 5 when DuckTales the movie, The Treasure of the Lost Lamp, like hit me, and I fucking love that movie. Everything from start to finish. It starts out as an Indiana Jones adventure, and then just turns into what would happen if these ducks had a genie. That's it. That's the whole thing. Like, what if you could wish for a fountain that has ice cream in it? Like, and what kid doesn't want that shit? And of course, Scrooge is gonna abuse the genie.
My favorite thing about DuckTales, and this is so, you've seen Community, the TV show.
Yeah.
The guy that plays Abed, he's on Larry King back in the day when the new DuckTales was out. And Larry King's like, you got to get yourself a luxury. And he's like, I don't know, like new pairs of socks. And Larry King's like, that's not a luxury. You got to get like a private plane. And he looks at him and goes, Larry, I'm on DuckTales. And that just, that forever. Just like, I'm on DuckTales, Larry King. I don't have private jet money.
I love that. DuckTales. Well, I also love the premise. They never really address, like, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are not are not Donald Duck, but they kind of are.
They're his cousins? Not cousins. They're his nephews?
They're his nephews, but they're also Scrooge's nephews, and they never address their parents. Like,
wait, they're Scrooge's nephews too?
Yes.
I don't know anything about DuckTales.
Scrooge McDuck's nephews are Huey, Dewey. They're orphans. They're orphans, and Disney doesn't do the classic Disney thing of being like, and their parents died, and this is part of their character growth. Yeah, no, they're just like, no, they're orphans because they're Disney characters. So,
of course, every Disney there has to be at least one orphan in every room
which is,
at Disney.
It's great. All right, what's your next? What do you got?
Okay, my next one is Big Hero 6.
Oh.
I got to see that as an adult, and I got to see that during the like superhero craze that I was in, And Big Hero 6 is just like, it's so well done. And I think, I don't think it's underrated. I think plenty of people talk about it. There's been shows and everything, but Baymax is just such a lovable marshmallow.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Speaking of orphans, brother dies, of course, because somebody's got to die. And then
because it's a Disney movie.
Group.
Yeah,
of course.
Disney has helped to provide the impetus for many a D&D background. Like I feel like a lot of people when they're making their first D&D character, they're like, I don't know, and their parents are dead, and it's like, yeah, all right, okay, Disney kid,
tragic backstory.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like Big Hero 6 though. I think, I think it's just a solid, fun, like superhero.
Yeah, I actually saw it for the first time, probably 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and was pretty like, good. Oh yeah, this was pretty good. I might have liked it more if I saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
Cool. Number 4 for me, another deep cut. Some of the movies that I mentioned, you're going to be like, that's not fucking Disney. Disney bought the rights to this story and film in 1981. The film came out in 1988. And the film is Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Which is, so like a lot of people, I feel like when you think of Disney movies, you think of like Disney princesses. You think of like Pixar. You think of, like the classic Disney movies that everybody grew up. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Everything about it. And like, I think when I look back on like what my favorites were as a kid, these like wild fever dreams that people had that were just like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland, DuckTales, Legend of the Lost Lamp. Like, these aren't your classic Disney stories. These aren't your classic kid stories. So like, I look back on it, I'm like, this was definitely formative. But Who Framed Roger Rabbit is phenomenal. Like, it's so good because it's about racism. Like that's what it's about. But the guy who's racist is racist against cartoons, so it just turns into a wild Looney Tunes adventure. It's Looney Tunes without being Looney Tunes, and there's so many references.
There's such the story I know about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I've never seen it, but
what?
Yeah, I told you, I haven't seen a lot of Disney stuff.
You have to see Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I basically have with all the clips I've seen online and everything,
No, you have to actually watch the thing. I never say this to you. You have to actually
it's true. You
watch.
Do never say that.
I never say this to you. You have to actually watch the thing. The intro to the movie is the filming of a cartoon episode, and the cartoon episode goes wrong, and the director's mad about it, and they're like, we have to reshoot, and you're like, what the fuck do you mean you have to reshoot? Like, dude, it's so good. You have to watch this.
I'll have to look into it because the story that I know about it is Who Framed Roger Rabbit has both Disney characters and Warner Brothers characters, right?
There's a weird crossover happening. I forget exactly what it is. We could do a whole short episode on it or something.
What I know about that is Disney asked to use the Warner Brothers characters. Yeah. And Warner Brothers was like, yeah. And they thought it was like we use some of your characters, you can use our characters in a movie. And so when Warner Brothers was like, hey, Disney, we want to like use some of your characters in this movie, Disney was like, no, definitely not. Get fucked.
Okay, so it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, first off. Okay. This movie's fucking insane. It's based off of the story Who Censored Roger Rabbit, which is
canceled.
A wild title, right? It was done by Touchstone Pictures, right? Distributed by Buena Vista, but Disney actually bought the rights for the story. So like Disney was in on it. And yes, they do have some Warner Brothers characters in it, which is insane because you get these, and like all the Warner Brothers cameos are just cameos. That's it. That's all they are. But they're beautiful. Like Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny are dueling pianists. That's it. That's all they are. It's nothing too much crazier after that. But like, you have to. It's a fucking masterpiece. Like, and at the end of it, it's about okay. The core of Who Framed Roger Rabbit is political corruption, racism, and redlining. Like, it's fucking insane.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, you have to watch this movie. All right, what's your number 3?
So. You just sorry, I was thinking about Roger Rabbit now I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
I've used clips of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I use clips of that in my Space Jam video.
The main bad guy is trying to like ethnically cleanse cartoons.
Huh.
Yeah,
incredible.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, my number 3. Another movie that's getting another live-action remake that I genuinely cannot wait for.
Yeah.
And I do not care. I'll be at the cinema by myself. Lilo and Stitch. I have always loved Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
I think
it's getting a remake right now. The live-action
remake.
Did you see the trailer for it?
I saw the trailer for it when I went to go see Snow White.
All right, before you talk about it, what do you think about the trailer for it?
I think it looks good.
Okay, cool.
I think
I'm going to go off your opinion on this.
So for me with Lilo and Stitch, now just going off the trailer, the original story is just so beautiful. There's so many moments that get overlooked that Nani, the older sister to Lilo, who is like 17 and is taking care of her like 7-year-old kid. Sister,
cousin.
Sorry.
Sister? Okay.
Yeah, because their parents are dead. There are so many moments.
Classic Disney.
Yeah, of course, right? Their parents are dead, and they're on Hawaii.
Our parents are dead.
But like Lilo and Stitch.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Well, it does a good job of, for one, showing what. From what I've read, obviously I can't speak on this, so I'm not speaking for native Hawaiians, but from what I understand, it does a pretty good job of like showing that culture and doing it respectfully.
Yes.
It does a really good job. There's so many moments with Nani where like Lilo does something wrong and you would expect the parental figure to get upset. And there's a moment where Lilo actually costs Nani her job. And instead of getting mad at Lilo, she jokes with her. She's like, "Oh yeah, my boss was a vampire," and that was something that Lilo had said earlier. She's like, "Your boss is probably a vampire." So like, Nani is so underrated as one of the best parental figures in Disney because she is a kid taking care of a kid and is doing it in a way that like she could easily flip her lid at any point at Lilo for a lot of the story, and eventually she does, but. The moments where like Lilo has Stitch and she's learning responsibility and like Stitch is changing their lives and like the way the dynamic between Lilo, Stitch, and Nani, and like then you add in Pleakley, the one-eyed fucking weirdo who keeps dressing up, the first like cross-dresser in Disney, and I fucking love it. Like Cobra Bubbles is just like this stoic dude with sunglasses, and
Bubbles is great.
It's such a fucking good movie, and the live-action remake makes me excited because it looks like they pretty much did the cartoon, but then did what I want to see in live-action remakes and only changed the things that couldn't translate from animation to live-action. Those are the things that they changed. Everything else is the same. And normally, live-action remakes, I wouldn't be on board, but everybody in that trailer, down to the ice cream guy, is just like perfect.
We're gonna talk about the Disney live action movement, as it were, as we're going along.
Maybe over Lilo and Stitch we should.
I also want
that comes out in May.
Yeah, we should. I also want to throw out. You have a bias toward films that are generally Hawaiian or island in nature, right? Like you love Moana. You love.
Wait to get to my number one.
I know exactly where we're going. And I didn't think it until you said Lilo and Stitch, and then I'm like, Odie just needs to move to Hawaii.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Be surrounded by water, the thing I don't like going in.
I mean, you're still on land. My number 3, kind of a deep cut, but many people, I love the love that this movie has gotten in like the past 5 years. Like a character just resurfaced from it, and all of a sudden everybody loved this movie again. A Goofy movie. This movie is fucking phenomenal, and I watched it on repeat for months when it came out on VHS. That's how old I am. Yes, I had it on VHS.
Goofy movie's good.
But it's so fucking good.
I've seen that one.
There are so many little details in this movie. First off, they never address Max's mom, who's probably dead. Classic Disney. Yeah, right? But like... here's something I do want to throw this down. Disney does a very good job of going like, we don't want to create this extra character. They're dead. Like that's or they're just not there and they don't talk about it, right? Like, which is fine because it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the crux of who someone is. They're not interacting with the dead person unless it's Coco.
Well, that whole movie's about interacting with dead people.
But
So.
But yeah, so Max and Goofy, Goofy's like, I'm feeling distant from my son, Gorsh. Let's go on a road trip. Right.
I thought that was his name for a second. I was like, his name's not Gorsh. What are you saying?
Let's go on a road trip. And then it just shows how different they are as people. For like the beginning, for the first act of the movie, it's all about how different they are and how Max is like, oh, my dad's such a fucking klutz. I don't actually like him that much. By the end of the movie, he's come to accept who his dad is. There's no big you have to change moment because like they both get on stage with Powerline and then Goofy's dancing and like Max sees for the first time like what other people see in his dad that he doesn't, which is like the guy's just having fun. Like
he's living his best life.
And Max is like, oh, I can appreciate this about my dad. And like I thought that was a really, even as a kid, I was like, oh, that's fucking funny and cool, like, and he spends the whole movie like, just kind of resenting all these moments that fall apart. And Goofy's just trying to connect with him. And he's like, remember this thing you liked? And Max is like, I don't anymore because I'm not a kid, like, And like they go to the place that they used to go when he was a kid where there's the animatronic. It's like Chuck E. Cheese, right?
Yeah.
And then I love the attention to detail in this film where like the guy in the suit comes up and he's like, hey, what's up there, little guy? Why you sad? And he knocks him over and the children of the theme park just come and drag the stuffed like figure away.
Do you remember?
It's so fucking good.
It's like that's Children of the Corn style.
Yeah, they're just like, ha 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 ha. Like you're just, everything is subject to just like a funny background moment in this movie.
Yeah.
And I love it. Also, it's a musical, which is fun. Like, there's multiple songs in this. So, yeah, classic Disney film, Goofy movie. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it.
Love it.
Number 2.
My number 2 is Zootopia.
Oh, really?
Fucking
wow, you do have a modern list.
Yeah, I knew that going. When I was making this, I was like, damn, like, this is all modern shit. But,
yeah.
Zootopia. Jason Bateman, one of my favorites. I love Jason Bateman.
Who does he play?
He's the fox.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Idris Elba is in this. Jenny Slate is in this.
Is Idris Elba like a panther?
He is the Oxen police chief.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Zootopia, speaking of Jennifer Goodwin, that's the other one. I had to get her name.
She's the bunny?
She plays Hops.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and J.K. Simmons is in it too.
Hell yeah.
What I love about Zootopia is it's one of those Disney movies that definitely has a message, but the story is so well written that the themes and the messaging blend really, really, really well. You were talking about how basically Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it's kind of like for racism.
Yeah.
Zootopia is kind of like that too because the whole... Have you seen Zootopia?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole major city where it's all cut up into different districts and like if you're a bunny, you can only be this thing. And if you're this, you can only be this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Zootopia is just one of those that the first time I saw it, I immediately loved it.
Yeah, I mean, Zootopia, really, the underlying evil of that is that the bad guy, the villain of the movie, is manufacturing outrage and fear and using that to control
animals to be wild.
Yeah, and he's controlling Zootopia that way, Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was. I remember watching that and being like, "This is a pretty mature message for
really
kids."
Fucking good, dude.
Yeah, it's good.
It is. We're getting a second one, which worries me.
I know. Yeah, we'll talk about Disney. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait till we get to my dishonorable mentions. My number 2, another Disney classic. Actually, one of the first movies ever released by Disney. It came out in 1951, and
no, doesn't count.
When I think about this movie coming out in 1951, and even just watching it now, I'm like, I couldn't imagine watching this in 1951 with a very less, like a much more limited world experience. Alice in Wonderland. Like, I love Alice in Wonderland. And speaking of messages, Alice in Wonderland, I'm in high school, like, social studies class, right? Like, history class. We're going over things, and they bring up a caucus race, and literally the first memory in my head is the dodo bird having all the people run around while he stands atop this thing, keeping himself dry. And he's telling all the other people to run around. And he's like, if you keep running around, you'll get dry. And the waves keep coming in and hitting them. And then he's like, keep running. You're not dry yet. And he's up on this pedestal, like this rock formation, completely dry, with warmth, drying himself. And Alice goes, hey, well, why don't you? And he's like, no, get out of here. He's like, no, I've got these people running around. They're convinced they'll get dry. And then he shows up again when she's a giant inside the house. You know, like the bunny's like, hey, how am I going to get this giant out of my house? And the dodo bird's like, yeah, someone's got to solve this. I need a ladder and a lizard. And like goes and gets this like common man worker. And he's like, all right, Bill, go get that out of there. You're a brave man. And like, and then he gets blown in the sky and he goes, oh, poor Bill. And he goes, all right, too bad. We'll have to burn your house down.
So you didn't like the remake with Johnny Depp?
No, I hated the remake. The remake misses all of the main points of Alice in Wonderland. Like Alice in Wonderland touches on all the same things that like Roger Rabbit touched on. Like the flowers are racist. And like, you know, like, no, seriously, like, it's like, she's like, what if I could be in this magical land with flowers and all the creatures and they all talked and like, and then she goes there and it turns out, 1, it's insane. 2, it's an allegory for being an adult. 3, like everyone hates you and maybe wants to kill you now because you don't belong. And like, and then it peaks with her being chased. And then like you never resolve the actual conflict in the dream world. She just goes, she has like a taste of what it's like to be in the real world and is like, you know what? I think I'll go back to reading and being a kid for a while. Like that's the message of Alice in Wonderland is like, don't waste your youth daydreaming about what it might be like to be all these other things when you could just be yourself and enjoy the time that you have to have leisure. Like I love Alice in Wonderland. And not only that, like all the other reasons people love it. It's a trip. You know,
I've only seen the remake. I've never seen the original.
Fucking stop!
I know.
Fucking,
I know.
You're missing. Like, this is.
I wasn't around. There's
a whole story about the proletariat and the bourgeoisie with the walrus and the carpenter. You're missing.
There's a walrus in that movie.
Oh God!
I'm not even joking. Like I don't even remember the remake because I went with a date. And that was back like 20 years ago. When was the remake? That was a while ago.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal movie.
I'm sorry, everybody.
It has a lot of my favorite lines. The Mad Hatter is not actually this helpful and loving, endearing character. The Mad Hatter is like, all right, welcome to my tea party. Okay, the rules are going to change every 5 minutes. There's a mouse here now. Everybody change seats. Okay, let's, your pocket watch she's going crazy? Yeah, let's just throw a bunch of stuff into it. Yeah, anything goes. Jam, peanut butter, let's go. Everything can go into this. Don't look at the mouse. All right, cool. Mustard? No, fuck you. Get out of here.
Mustard.
Like, yeah, mustard? Don't let's be silly. Like, it's, dude, there's so many good fucking, like, the whole tea party is infuriating. It's because she's trying to fit in. She's like, oh, high society. I'm used to this. I belong here. And it turns out everyone's insane. You know, like.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
I like that premise.
Thank you. I'm going to send you my top 5. And you have homework.
I have homework.
These are good movies.
I'm not doubting that.
These are good. All right.
This is part of the reason I wanted to do this, because I knew, knowing how we are with lists, you would come with a drastically different time period and type of movie that I
don't have a time period. I'm all over the place. This is
your time period is before the internet.
What's your number 1?
Oh, you guess.
Moana.
Of course it's Moana.
I know it's Moana. We've talked about Moana
on the hill. And I don't care. Anybody can argue with me. Yeah. And if you have kids and you've had to watch Moana like 100 times, you don't count in that argument, because that's just, no, you don't count. If you have kids, you have to watch a kids movie over and over again. You don't get to say that kids movie is bad because you got subjected to it way more than you should have.
Okay.
Moana is my definitively second favorite movie ever.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking love Moana so much. It is the perfect hero's journey. It is the perfect soundtrack. It is some of my favorite voice acting, period. It is beautiful. It looks incredible. It's got emotional beats. It's got happy beats.
Yep.
It's got scary beats. It has every single thing you could ever fucking want. Moana gives you, and it's incredible. And one of the first things that made me love Moana when I saw it was the fact that it was one of the first Disney movies that I saw where it wasn't a prince and a princess and the prince has to save the princess. No, Moana doesn't have a love interest. Moana has a chicken that's voiced by Alan Tudyk for some reason.
Hey.
And she's got The Rock.
Yeah.
Who, out of all the Rock performances, I don't know how we got Maui, but I will take all of the shitty movies he has made if it means we get to keep him as Maui, because
okay. Yeah.
It's the only role of his where I truly feel like he is perfect. Like, The Rock is perfect in that role.
You mean The Rock is perfect playing an overconfident demigod who constantly overestimates his own capability? Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sounds
crazy.
fitting.
Weird.
Good. I will say,
it's just,
I watched this movie because it's your favorite, just so you know. That's the only reason I watched Moana, was because you were like, it's my favorite Disney movie. And I was like, okay, I have some time next week. I need to watch this. And I watched it last fall.
Yeah.
I had never seen it. It came out in like 2007.
Good. It came out in 2016.
2016. Wait, it came out in 2016?
It came out
November
23rd. It's on my tattoo.
Okay, of 2016?
Of 2016.
Oh, wow. So, okay, when it came out in 2016, I just didn't see it. I was like, all right, whatever. Yeah, it's a Disney film. Looks great. Kids will love it. I'll probably see it at some point, right? I just kind of like, when you said it was your favorite, I was like, all right, I got to watch it. I will say I love Hey Hey. I love the coconuts, and I love the turtle.
Yeah.
Everything else about the movie's fun, and it's good. Definitely see why it's your favorite. It's a great movie. Also, some of the best modern Disney songwriting, period. Because there's actual... proper. Have you ever seen like the music theory videos behind the songs?
Oh yeah, I've watched some music theory videos on a lot of stuff. So it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. So
the music theory behind her main song is insane. Like, yeah,
dude, How Far I'll Go.
How Far I'll Go. Yes,
it's on my. This is another reason why, and again, it's also just because I love the movie so much. But the Moana soundtrack is one of the few movie soundtracks that I'll just put on and listen to. How Far I'll Go, I will listen to no matter, like, dude, I have driven on, like, the interstate going, like, 80, blaring How Far I'll Go, just, like, crying because of something that's happened. I'm just like, oh, yeah. Anyways, what's your number one?
I guessed what yours was. I just knew it.
Oh, Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, you knew my number one.
It's a good fucking movie, dude.
Yeah, it's my favorite
I didn't
movie.
know where to put that on my list. Like, honestly... Maybe that would have been higher. Maybe that's above Lilo and Stitch. I don't know.
Emperor's New Groove was the first Disney movie I earnestly liked as like an adolescent / early adult. Like, I loved that movie from the get-go. I didn't see it in theaters. It came out. I rented it like from fucking Hollywood Video or Blockbuster or something. Like, no, like seriously, I just rented it and was like, cool, let's watch Emperor's New Groove. And when it started and David Spade is like he's like, that's me, I'm a llama. I'm like, oh, this is different. Like, and I loved it. I love that, once again, just like Moana, it tells a very different story. There's not the cheesy love interest. It's about a dude who's a dickhead who learns just not to be a dickhead, which I think is great.
It's also one of the most quotable movies.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
The waterfall bit.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Like, it's just so...
I say that all the time. All the time. When someone gives me, like, really, like, crazy news or, like, the week looks insane, I just look at someone and I go, bring it on. Like, immediately. Like, yeah, I love that movie to pieces. I will always love Kronk. He's one of... Like, I somehow identify with, like, every character in that movie. Yzma included.
It's so good, dude.
And I love that at the end, Yzma doesn't turn... Okay, a lot of Disney movies, the bad guy turns into a giant monster at the end. They did the opposite. She turns into a cat. A kitten. Yeah. And then they just make her... They're like, yeah, sure, she's a kitten. She's still vicious and will kill you.
Yeah.
Like, Ursula turns into a giant. A lot of, like, people at the end of Disney movies are fighting dragons. What happens to Yzma? Kitten. Love it. Love it, love it. Can't say enough about it. All right, honorable mentions. What do you got?
Okay. Oh, also, that's another reason I like Moana. Why I bring up my honorable mentions is that she doesn't have to fight a big villain. She just has to like return the heart, and she's like, "Oh, you're just misunderstood. I love you."
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, so I'm gonna rapid fire these because I'm sure everybody knows them.
Same.
Aladdin, obviously, good movie.
Cool.
Encanto, I love Encanto.
Okay.
Good movie. The original Hercules with Danny DeVito.
Oh yeah, good one.
So fucking good. Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, not the second one. I love meta stuff like that where it's like, what if video games were real?
Oh yeah.
This is what the characters do in
between.
between.
What if Ralph didn't want to wreck?
Yeah, exactly. And then this is the one that I really wanted to put in my top 5, but I think it just barely got beat out. Treasure Planet.
Oh yeah,
so
good one. Yeah,
fucking good.
That's from that whole like Atlantis, Treasure Planet. I know it's not Disney, but El Dorado. There was like a whole era of kids movies and animated features that were like done in that style that were just fucking different and good. Yeah,
it was really good.
I'm with you. I have a pretty long. You'll see why, but my dishonorable mentions list is longer but more easily summarized. My honorable mentions are, first off, and this is the only place that I'm putting them, because in 2012 Disney bought Marvel, my honorable mention is Thor Ragnarok. Because in 2016 Disney bought FX, I can say my honorable mention for Disney movie is Prey. Like, and I see.
I was going to ask you about that because
I'm only saying that as honorable mentions because they don't count as proper Disney movies. So
no, they don't.
We
That's
both
why I didn't even bother.
We already did the right thing, but I was like, just because Disney owns them now,
Alien Romulus is a Disney movie.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that these are honorable mentions now.
Yes,
but
I agree.
When you think of Disney movie, you don't think of Alien Romulus.
No, you do not.
So
no.
Proper honorable mentions, and a lot of these are co-productions where Disney owned the story or worked on the production and was a huge part of it. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Aristocrats, The Rescuers Down Under. Oh my God, is that a fucking deep cut and a classic? Bedknobs and Broomsticks, if you have not seen it, motherfuckers, watch that movie. It's a fever dream. I love it. Angela Lansbury is a witch, and the other adult character is a con man, and then they summon a magical army of empty armor to fight Nazis at the end. It's The Sound of Music, but better.
I feel like I've seen that.
Need to watch it.
Or pieces of it.
The original Escape to Witch Mountain, please. It's
with The Rock.
No, not with The Rock.
Kidding.
The fucking original.
The original.
Flight of the Navigator. What a crazy sci-fi film. Also a Childish Gambino song because he watched that as a kid. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Motherfuckers, that's a Disney film. The Rocketeer. What the fuck? I forgot that was a Disney film.
What if Indiana Jones and Iron Man had a baby?
Exactly. And fights Nazis.
And
then my last honorable mention, my favorite Muppets movie of all time, Muppets Treasure Island, motherfuckers.
I knew that was going to be on here somewhere.
Oh my God. I quote that movie all the time. Blind Pew is one of my favorite characters. Oh, Billy Bones. Like, come on. So good.
Yeah.
You can Tim Curry as Blackbeard? You can't. Like, he's also... Here's the thing. I don't know how Tim Curry pulls this off. He is at once a very friendly and endearing adventure compatriot, and also kind of like
Pennywise.
Kind of but also like in the same movie, you're like, also I don't trust you around that child, Tim Curry. Every scene he's in, he's like, Bill, we're gonna be best friends, and you're like, I don't like this vibe at all, but I trust but I like Tim Curry. Like, yeah. Anyway, like,
dude,
yeah.
It's so obvious that I have not seen a lot of Disney movies.
Yeah.
Or I just didn't realize some of those because Pirates of the Caribbean, oh my God.
This list could have been longer. Pirates of the Caribbean actually almost made my top 5. Only the first one.
Just the first one.
The Legend of the Black Pearl. It almost made my top 5 because it is a movie, that one specifically, I would watch over and over again. Over and over again.
Oh,
like, love that
100%.
movie to death. All right, cool. Let's do bottom 5. Let's run through them quick. We don't need a crazy explanation.
Nah, number 5 for me is Mars Needs Mom.
Oh, yeah,
bad.
Yep.
Just like, what if Martians wanted to kidnap Earth mothers because Earth mothers are the best? Have you met my mom? You return her immediately.
Yeah, 100%. Mine is Mary Poppins Returns. We didn't need it. She didn't need to come back. The kids learned their lesson. The family was fixed.
She didn't need to come back.
They all decided to fly kites and be nice to homeless people. Story done. We're done. Mary Poppins, job done.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 4, what you got?
Peter Pan. But specifically, the movie called Pan.
And Wendy.
From like 2014.
Oh!
Where Hugh Jackman's Hook or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That one fucking sucks.
Yeah. No, that one's awful. Wild, actually.
So bad.
Okay. Yeah, mine, number 4 for me is Toy Story 4. We didn't need it. We had done it all. It's just a reshelling of every other Toy Story movie. Nothing was new. No jokes felt new. Nothing felt original. Toy Story 4 felt like the toy I wanted to leave behind, and it just ended up on the fucking tailgate of my car. And then when I found it, I wasn't reminded of my childhood. I was like, what's wrong with you? You're dirty and ugly and old now. I need to throw you out. Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Dude, Quentin Tarantino in an interview was like, the first 3 Toy Story movies are a perfect trilogy.
They are.
I love those movies.
Yes.
And they made a 4th one, and I was like, why the fuck would you do that? I'm not watching it. You already have a perfect trilogy. And I was like, 100%. Quentin Tarantino loves Toy Story.
I agree with him. The first 3, I was like, these are great. And then the third one, I was like, wow, I'm really glad we got this while we were alive and able to appreciate it. And then they were like, Toy Story 4. And I was like, no, we're done.
For the next Toy Story?
We're
doing
done.
Another one.
All right, keep going.
Number 3 for me, do you remember the movie Bolt?
Yeah, yeah.
Miley
with
Cyrus
the kid?
and John
Travolta
was a puppy?
Yeah, the puppy. Yeah.
Yeah, so stupid.
So lame. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Bolt is lame. Number 3 for me is the entire Cars franchise. We didn't need any of that. No.
Dude, number 2 for me is Cars 2.
Number 3 for me is the entire Cars franchise.
Number 2 for me
didn't hit
is Cars 2.
All right, cool. There we go.
I agree with you.
Number 2 for me, a Disney film, kind of a deep cut, The Pacifier with Vin Diesel. Why? Why did you do that?
Kevin, look at my number 1.
Is it The Pacifier with Vin
Diesel? It's The Pacifier.
Okay.
It's The Pacifier.
We're just, okay. We're on the same wavelength here. We didn't need that. Why did you do this? This was the Vin Diesel vanity project that no one asked for that didn't involve cars. Like, yeah, okay. And number 1 for me, I don't know why this was like I don't know what Nepo baby wrote this story, but no one.
Is it Home on the Range?
No, fucking Romeo and Juliet. No one needed this.
Gross.
Yeah, and then it got a sequel. Sherlock Gnomes or something. Like,
yes,
your bad pun is not the premise for a fucking movie. No, pass. Thank you.
Terrible.
Yeah, the worst. Yeah.
What's your dishonorables? Because I only have one, and it was Home on the Range,
all right.
which I can't believe I watched.
Here's my dishonorables. In the spirit of my honorables, simply because Disney has bought into Marvel, Star Wars, and produced this film, Thor: The Dark World,
okay.
Episode 9,
okay,
and the Air Bud franchise.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But then to summarize the rest of the dishonorables, I put every unnecessary sequel and cash grab, including some of the live-action remakes. There's a whole host of straight-to-video offshoots of franchises. That's like, there's so many dishonorable mentions that were clearly, they were like, yeah, some people will buy this shit because it's Disney. You can't, obviously you can as a business model. Like, I think, okay, we've talked about this a lot. Just because something makes money does not mean it was good. Are you aware of Furbies? Do you remember Tamagotchis? Like these things weren't good. They were just the things. Like they took our attention. You know, like just because a TikTok goes viral doesn't mean it's good. Like, you know, like there's so many, and people point to things and they go, well, it made money and they did it because no, that's not the reason that we have art. When these films start, and especially our top 5s, we're mentioning them because they are works of art. They are passion projects that come to fruition, that it require entire teams and captivate imaginations and inspire more. Nobody's inspired by Aladdin 3. Nobody's inspired by the rest of the Air Bud franchise. 2. Yeah, Bambi 2. Nobody's inspired. Nobody's going up for the Oscars and going, I want to thank Bambi 2 for existing, because without no, it's the fucking originals that like were passionate and soulful, and they have more to them, and you can feel it when you watch them. You can feel it when you watch these unnecessary offshoots, franchises, sequels, things like that. You're like, oh yeah, this this isn't the same. You know, you're like chasing a high that you're not gonna get again.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
And you know what? You know what that reminds me of?
Hit me.
Snow White.
Oh yeah, let's get into it, baby.
Well,
so
let's talk about Snow White.
All right, we saw Snow White. Quick summary. All right, here's a few things that I want to get into before we get into Snow White. Just real quick. Do you know the original tale, which is in German Schneewittchen?
Can I give you my best guess at what I think it is?
Yeah, okay. The original Grimm's fairy tale.
From what I understand.
Tale number 53 in Grimm's fairy tales. It's much shorter than this movie. It's called Schneewittchen.
Mirror, mirror.
That does happen.
Okay, so my understanding of the Snow White story, and I might
the
blur
classic.
all of it, but what I understand it is there's a kingdom, there's a girl, and she's really, really white, so white that they name her Snow White.
Schneewittchen.
Evil queen basically takes over, and then Snow White runs away, and she meets some dwarves in the woods who like to sing, and they all have names that are completely spot on for who they are.
Yeah.
And then a prince shows up at some point, and the queen's like, I'm going to kill you with an apple, and then true love's kiss, and happily ever after.
You've hit a lot of the main notes that we're familiar with.
There's a mirror that tells the queen that she's the fairest one of them all. And she loves that.
You've hit a lot of the main notes. And yes, those are the themes that carried over into the original Disney Snow White.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little history lesson on Grimm's fairy tales. Snow White's mom, while sewing and pregnant with her, pricks her finger and wishes for a daughter with white skin, red lips, and black hair. This is a very, very German thing.
Yeah.
Snow White is originally a cautionary tale for expecting mothers. Be careful what you wish for. Your daughter might look more beautiful than you. It's also,
that's weird.
Well, it's also a don't
message.
be a dick story. So Snow White's mom asks for that, and she gets Snow White, and she gets her wish. But then as her daughter gets older, her daughter becomes more beautiful, and she's aging, so she's not as beautiful as she once was. She doesn't like this, so she says, hey, why don't you kill my daughter and bring back her lungs and liver so I can eat them with salt?
What?
Because that's a belief that we carry in folklore. Yes.
So her mom wants to kill her?
Her mom wants to kill her. Yes, there's no evil stepmom. A lot of this translates to the evil stepmom later, but she's like, bring back her lungs and liver so I can eat them with salt. Instead, he brings back a boar's organs, and she eats them, you can only assume, with salt. But then she comes out as like this aged character to like, here's the thing. She's coming out as an aged character because it's a projection of who she is on the inside and will become inevitably because she has envy in her heart. She originally tries to suffocate Snow White with a lace bodice that she gives her, which gets way too tight. And then the dwarves come and save her. And then she comes and stabs her with a poisoned comb.
Okay.
And then the prince comes and kisses her. They get married, and then they go back to the kingdom, and they're like, we're getting married, and there's a party, and everyone's invited except your mom, who stabbed you with a poisoned comb. And the queen shows up anyway and causes a big fuss. And then the prince is like, you know what? Everybody, we're going to heat up some iron shoes until they are scalding hot and put them on her feet, and she's going to dance until she dies. That's what we're all going to do at my wedding to Snow White. And that's the end of the story.
They kill Snow White.
No, they killed the mom by making her dance in hot iron shoes until she dies. That's how that fairy tale ends. And that's why it's a cautionary tale to moms. To 1, not wish for a daughter who's more beautiful than you if you can't handle it. 2, maybe don't try to kill your children. 3, don't show up to a wedding and cause a fuss. Like, that's the original story. Yeah. From that, Walt Disney produced the original Snow White. Few facts. It was the first animated feature film produced in the U.S., period.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know that one.
It was the first Disney film produced in the U.S. It is a top 10 box office all time if adjusted for inflation. When adjusted for inflation, it's made over $2 billion because it's been re-released so many times, which is
that makes sense.
Wild.
Yeah.
Walt Disney got an honorary Oscar for this the year after it came out. They were like, you know what? This was such a landmark thing and has been so popular for so long. You get an honorary Oscar because they used to just give those out.
Yeah.
Yep. In the original Disney Snow White, her parents are just dead. They're just dead. Like we never meet them. Like we open up and she's just singing. The queen's already the evil stepmom is the queen. There's no dad. Like they're just dead. The huntsman just lies in the original Snow White. He just lies. He's like, yeah, I killed her. There's also a version of this story where he brings back a deer's heart, not hers.
I did know that one.
Yep.
That's from the Chris Hemsworth, I think, version. Or
something
whatever.
like that. Yeah. But the huntsman just lies. She is a scullery maid in the original fairy tale and like the Disney one, and these are the skills that actually make her valuable to the dwarves because she cleans. And so these 7 men who are originally like, we don't want you around, you might be related to these bandits or just be a bandit, they're like, oh no, wait, you clean? All right, cool, we're cool.
That makes sense.
Yep. The queen actually like / hag in the original Disney Snow White falls to her death. But she's already poisoned Snow White, and then the dwarves put her in a glass coffin. This is the classic motif, which is what I fucking love, and I'm so mad they didn't do this in this movie.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
they
spoilers.
Didn't do that.
The glass coffin's like it's part of the story. It's metal. The prince shows up
Kevin.
and
it's
just
not metal.
the prince shows up. Sorry, the prince shows up and just kisses her. Like he's just like, oh, I'm a prince.
Now that is the weirdest part.
She's hot.
That is like,
I'm just gonna kiss this girl.
That's really weird.
What's weirder is she wakes up and goes, a prince, I'll get married. You know, like it's just, yeah, it's a whole thing. But that is the cure. So this harkens back to its German roots. Oftentimes a prince rescues a princess with and then there's like a kiss.
Kissing.
Like a curse is broken, whatever, and then they get married and happily ever after. No one was intending for this to be like, this isn't non-consensual kiss. They were just like, here's the story, the classic archetype. He kisses her, that saves her, technically brings her like back to life out of a death-like sleep, and then they get married because she's happy about that, right? Like
Would you say that the prince stalks Snow White?
No.
Okay.
But
just curious.
So
I heard that somewhere.
And then in the original Disney Snow White, Dopey doesn't talk, and it's fine. It's fine. Like,
no, in this one, it's a big deal that he doesn't talk.
Oh
and
my
then he does,
fucking
and it's
God.
a big
All right,
moment.
so
it's a big moment that made me laugh.
Let's get to the new Snow White. Break it down for us, Odie. That's my history. And then we get Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's version of Snow White with modern Disney.
All right, here's the first thing I want to say.
Yep.
Stop putting Gal Gadot in movies. She cannot act to save her fucking life.
Yeah, is she like trying to do an accent at some points or trying not to do an accent at some points? I couldn't
she's
tell.
all over the place.
Yeah,
because
I couldn't tell.
Did you hear? Okay, and
I was like,
full spoilers for Snow White.
She's French, right? She is proper
Israeli?
French. Okay. There are some points in the movie where I'm like, I think you're trying to not put on an accent. And then there are some points in the movie where I'm like, I think you're trying to put on an accent.
Did you
and
notice?
They're very different scenes.
Yeah. So when she's and we'll go more chronological in a second, but this has been bugging me, and I've been wanting to ask you, and I wanted to wait till we were on pod. When she's the old woman, she doesn't sound like an old woman, does she?
Not at all.
Okay, making sure I wasn't crazy for that.
Like barely. Like I would say her voice is slightly different, but it's bad.
It sounds like she's doing an American accent, and then she just slips back into her regular voice.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Gal Gadot is likely full spoilers. Because
full spoilers.
Everyone knows the story of Snow White, so it doesn't matter. What?
Yeah, have you seen that clip of her from Justice League where she's like, Kal-El,
no. Yeah, it's
Snow White, no.
So, full spoilers.
Put your hands on these rocks and we'll reveal these spoilers. Hey, Doc, who are we mining for anyway?
This movie, okay. The first like 5 minutes of this movie, I'm 100% in. Great job.
Me too.
Good.
I was like, okay,
killer.
okay.
It's good. They do a whole like the kingdom's all singing. Everyone's happy. They're expressing themselves through song.
As soon as they
everyone
jump,
they all care about each other. And even though there's a monarchical system in place, they're very aware of how they need to be
apples together.
Generous and kind. Yeah, they're not like absentee rulers who are looking down on people. They're actually going out and like participating in things, and like there's very clearly a sense of camaraderie, and everyone's into it. This is the legacy that she's handed. And then they say 4 things. They're like kind, caring, right? Kind, caring, brave, and true.
Something like that.
They're like they list the 4 things. I'm like, oh, those are going to be important. Like, and sure enough, they come back multiple times. Like, I went to the movie.
So
I saw this with friends last night, and I'm glad I did, because like anytime one of those things came up, we were like, check. Like all.
So this
we
was
checked the
part,
box.
This was the recurring thing in the movie, and it ties into the start. In the original, and here's the thing: if I've seen people complaining about this change that I'm about to talk about,
hit me.
And if this is what you're upset about with this movie, just like shut up, because this is not even remotely what's wrong with the movie.
Yeah.
But in the original, she gets the name Snow White because she's white. She's just a white person, right? And
well, yeah, she has skin as fair as snow. Yes,
exactly, as white as snow. So I don't think it really matters. Like, to me personally, I don't really care about swapping races or genders for stuff.
Dude, I'm 100% down with proper Caribbean Ariel. I'm 100% down with whoever the fuck plays Snow White. Like, also, Rachel. Here's the thing, Rachel Zegler. Like, I'm watching this movie. One, she's a good actress. Like, she's not bad. And then 2, she's a phenomenal singer. Like,
she's a better singer than she's actress.
She's a better singer than she is, but she's like not a bad. Like, there were no scenes in this movie where I was like, oh, her acting's bad and ruining the scene. No, it was anytime Gal Gadot came in, I was like, why did you ruin this for us?
So
at least they got me to dislike the Queen.
Right? Which wasn't hard, because I already don't like Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
But so in this one, they change it where when she was born, a snowstorm hits and she survived. So
which is fine.
And that's fine. Dude, honestly,
fine.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, I don't care.
In my mind. Like, but here's the thing that I thought was funny.
They could have done it that her mom pricked her finger and wished for a child with white skin, red lips, and black hair.
Yeah, you could have.
They could have done that. If we want to do the classic, if you guys want to be mad about something.
So there's a recurring thing in this movie where Snow White is constantly going, not constantly, but like at least 4 times, she's like, will I ever be the girl I was who survived the snowstorm?
Yeah.
Bitch, you were a baby. Like, when I was talking to people about this, I talked to people about this at D&D, and I was explaining to them. They were like, what do you mean she wants to be how brave she was when she was an infant? And I was like, I get what the movie's trying to do.
Hold on.
But to sit there and sing about how you want to be brave like when you were a baby, dude, that's so stupid to me.
The song is great. The lyrics are not amazing. No. I get what she's trying to express, because if you listen to the rest of the song, she's saying that she wants to be those 4 things that were expected of her, and she believes that she was before she was robbed of her place in the kingdom, but they did not write it in a way that translates properly.
No, it just sounds like she wants to be a baby again.
Much like you, I was like, you want to be that baby? When you said, like, I was like, I get where this does not make sense. Like, these are not great lyrics. However, music theory. Okay, and then here's the other thing about that fucking song. That song is in part the fucking Moana song. It's a How Far I'll Go song. And it even does the same lift in the chorus, and I was like, you motherfuckers needed to do something slightly different here, because I'm hearing Moana. And I just saw Moana last year. Like, it's not my favorite or anything, but even I was like, is this the Moana song? Like,
the thing with this movie that I think really was hard for me is that it's almost 2 hours, but I feel like
it should have been 1 hour 20.
I feel like everything that we see in this movie it's moving so fast, but also not fast enough at the same time.
They crammed too much into it. They tried to rewrite too much. Instead of the prince showing up, which would have been fine. It would have been fine. Like he's a burglar. He's like a thief and a robber.
Bandit. Like
he's basically
bandit?
Robin Hood.
He's Robin Hood.
He's Robin Hood. They
under
basically
the king's name.
Snow White falls in love with Robin Hood when she first meets him. He's also like, I feel like they were trying to reskin Flynn Rider in a way.
Oh,
because when she
sense.
first meets him, he's like, I'm a bandit, but a lovable, kind-hearted bandit. And
take some potatoes for yourself.
Yeah, and then they're like, I found him in the scullery. He's like, I didn't rob anything. And then they're like, potatoes on the floor, and I'm like, dude, everyone can see the potatoes. Like, this isn't a cartoon.
Laughed at that.
Yeah. I did
people.
too, because I was like, everyone can see the potatoes, bro. Like,
this movie made me
laugh. You're not fooling anyone.
This movie made me laugh because of how stupid parts were.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so
agreed.
dumb. But like, my problem, like, the thing with this movie is like, it genuinely, it takes place over like 2 days. And look, I don't think this should be a reason that other people don't like this movie, but I'm going to speak for myself for a second. As somebody who stays current with movie news and what people are up to.
Yeah.
There's an interview from about a year ago with the star Rachel Zegler.
Zegler.
Is that her name? Zegler.
Yep. Z-E-G. Yep. Zeg.
Where she's getting interviewed and she's talking about how this isn't going to be your traditional Snow White story because no prince is going to come in and save this Snow White.
Well, she's right. It wasn't a prince.
Exactly, right? But she's like, this isn't a traditional love story. And what the part of the interview that really stuck out to me is she was like, the character's name is Jonathan. The actor's name is, I don't know his name.
Yeah.
But she was like, at the end of the day, all of his scenes could get cut because that's Hollywood, baby.
Yeah, that line,
like, bro.
You sent me that
movie,
dude. Don't say
story,
that.
Don't say that because
don't say that. That's rude to your castmates.
For one, there's nothing wrong with this being a traditional love story, which it is. It's people that meet, and in less than 24 hours, they're singing about how they love each other, and true love's kiss saves the day. There is nothing wrong with that.
No, it's fine.
There is something wrong with kissing a stranger without permission, and I'm glad they changed that.
Yeah, me too. That was good.
But the thing is like, everything that she said in that interview is false because, for one, having seen the movie, there's no way you can cut any of that guy's scenes because he's so integral to the plot.
Yeah, 100%. Like, he literally is the subplot.
The only thing you guys changed about the traditional love story is you had a song where it basically was the consent to be kissed.
Yes. 100%.
So where do you get off of this? This is like,
also, I may have been extra sleepy during that song and had to listen to it when I got home because I was like, is that what they did? Like,
yeah,
I legit was falling asleep. I was like, this is long. Why is this so long?
All this Snow White movie did is basically drag out the original story, put the green screen haze effect on everything because half this movie looks like it was shot in a fucking cupboard, which is crazy because this was a $210 million movie.
Jesus.
But dude, what kid wants to watch nightmarish, horrendous CGI dwarfs that are just the worst? Like,
I thought the dwarves were fine. Like, I was fine with them.
Here's how
I
look
didn't
at the
like
dwarves.
or dislike them.
If they were in a CGI movie, they would have looked incredible. But next to real people, they just looked uncanny.
Here's what I would have liked. Cut out some scenes. I don't know which ones, just off the top of my head. Explain the dwarves' magic hand power.
Did you see that? Dude, okay. What was that? Why are they
that
have
is
powers
not
to
in
find
the original.
gems? What is
I
that?
don't know. I think the guys who were writing the song just like went wild. I think really great songwriting, bad lyrics. Cause like the lyrics, they're like put your hands on these stones and we'll reveal all the diamonds. And I'm like, what? Also, who are they mining for? Like, they literally wake up every day. They're like, well, back to the mine. And you're like, for who? What is the commerce that you're supporting?
Kingdom?
Are they helping the queen? Is the queen like subjugating?
Her gems look
she
like
loves
their gems.
Gems. Like, yeah,
So,
I'm like,
yeah, way too
what
many
are
gems,
you
by the
doing?
way,
Yeah,
on that outfit.
yeah,
way
there
too many.
There was a lot that they did not explain. Yeah, I did say this at one point. I went, I love how loud her dress is. It's just so loud.
Dude,
it's
so
like
clinky.
clink, 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 clink every time she turns. Like, could you? I would stage a revolt as a peasant. I would just be like, "You're too loud," and
I
I'm
can hear
loud.
you coming.
But yeah.
Dude,
so then
the Hi Ho song was probably my favorite because I just loved the vocal ranges of it.
Oh yeah.
But let me ask you a question. Do you
Yeah, hit me.
recognize any of the voices of the dwarfs? Do you
Absolutely
recognize any
not.
of them?
Absolutely
So have
not.
you seen Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
You know
Grumpy?
Leslie, who's like, he's Doc.
Oh,
The guy
Leslie's
that
Doc.
plays
That
Leslie
makes
is
sense.
Doc. Grumpy is the really, really famous. He's in Pirates of the Caribbean. Martin, what's the guy's name?
Whatever, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. I didn't recognize any of them though.
No, me neither. And I kind of didn't care about that. But then the other thing was, I was like, oh, like, okay. As soon as they introduced the dwarves, I was like, all right, I'm fine with this. Whatever, this is fine. Like everything, most of this movie was just fine, right? But then, like, there are certain moments. As soon as they revealed Dopey, and they have like this, there's like
Dopey
a
was so
pregnant
annoying.
pause between her and Dopey, and I was like, they're gonna make him fucking talk. Like,
And
I was
it
like, oh,
wasn't
they're
even
gonna
that
make
big of
him
a
talk.
moment.
Yeah,
It didn't matter.
Yeah. And then, okay, so then fast forward, everyone knows everything else that's going on in the story. Like, the queen. Also, where did the queen. The dungeon is dope. Like, her dungeon is wild.
deep.
And it just kept, like, expanding. Like, her dungeon's just so fucking deep, man.
Dude,
and
she
then,
went, like,
then she's got,
40
like, a
stories
canal.
down.
And
Yeah.
no, it's just wild. So, like, how does no one in the kingdom know that there's just this wild canal at the base of the castle? Anyway, so, like, everyone knows the rest of the story. She's like, oh, Snow White's still alive. I'll go poison her with an apple. I'm Gal Gadot, and I'm going to try to do an old lady voice. And
Why
then,
would you poison her at
then,
this point?
I don't
though?
know.
Like,
She poisons her. We don't get the glass casket, which is probably the thing that I'm, like, the most, like, not mad about, because, like, that's fucking metal. I love that shit. I sent you the song. Like, there's song titles that are, like, glass casket and shit. Old nursery or old fairy tales are metal as fuck. Like, I told you the origins of this story.
I agree.
And you're taking it away, and that makes me mad. But then you know, the robber guy comes and wakes her up because they sang the song before about the kiss, and it's like, blah blah blah, kiss me, and then he kisses her and she wakes up and she's like, you know what? I've been emboldened. I'm gonna go march back into town. And, like, what's really funny about that whole scene, I'm like, you have not, like, she's singing and, like, all the townspeople are getting behind her because they're like, that's our princess, right?
That's
and then,
Snow White.
And then I'm like, why is no one grabbing a weapon? like
Okay.
they all just march up to the castle and they're like, we're here now. And I was like,
I want to talk about that.
no one grabbed a weapon at all.
The setup for the queen being in power is that she basically gets the king killed. And the mom her original mom dies of an illness off screen.
Yeah.
And then the queen's just like, hey, this town of like 100 people, all the men are going to be my guards unless you're old, and everybody else is
100%.
just going to be out in town. Because, like, there's the part where Snow White's like, you used to be a farmer, and you used to have cherry trees.
Yes.
And it's like,
hold
okay.
on. This is, okay. This is the penultimate moment of the movie. They literally suck all the sound out of the scene. They built up. There's all this tension, and then a real quick beat, and then she just goes, Paul, and I was like, Paul, like
Paul?
My friends and
Atreides?
I all had the same exact reaction. We all looked at each other and went, Paul, like. And here's why we all did this. And I don't know where they could have done this, but this just should have been done better anyway. But, like, introduce Paul earlier.
Yeah, what?
Give us his name way before this.
You can't just say Paul after silence.
Show how much show that he is a significant member of the kingdom and cares about is even though he's a peasant, he's friends with your dad. I don't know. Show us 3 seconds of that.
You know, in the very beginning where she gives that, like, crown of flowers to that
Yes,
one girl?
have him
give it
be
to
her
Paul.
dad.
Just have it be Paul.
Exactly. Give us his name way earlier, because when you do that, I was just like,
It's stupid.
Paul? Like, yeah.
Dude.
Like, give me something so that I'm not completely, like, flummoxed by this. And I know this is a kid's movie, right? Like, I'm sure kid me would have been completely fine with this movie. But, like, give me, as the person who, 1, knows the story, and 2, is interested enough to say, I'll go watch it, right? Give me like a little bit better foreshadowing. This is like the movies, like the parts. I feel like there are parts of it that are written incredibly well, and then there are parts of it that are just dragging everything down. Like there's like, these anchors on the film. And then then she basically has the remember who you are moment, but is doing it with everybody in town. I started cackling in the theater because she goes, Paul, you used to be a farmer. You had a wife. And he literally looks at his wife like she hasn't been there the entire fucking time.
That was weird.
Yeah, there's like no explanation. And they didn't explain the queen's powers better. Like, I get it. The queen's beautiful. So men who are, of the age where beauty matters to them are susceptible to the entrancing power of her beauty. I get that. I get the subtext. You did not do it well. And so like, then he just looks at his wife. He's like, oh yeah, I did have a wife. And like,
oh my God, I used to be married.
And then she's like, and John, you blah 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 blah, and you had a family, and he looks at his family, and I'm like, they're right there. They've been there the whole time.
You guys, there was just a gate between you. Like you don't go home.
That's
after
all
work.
it was. Yeah, and then she's like,
a small town.
And then she's like Phil and Stuart, and I'm like, you're married. Like,
I thought that was going to be the case too.
Me too. And then they didn't. I was real let down by that. You guys were married. I wanted them to look at each other and go, oh yeah, we were married. Like we were married. But so then she does this moment, and then all of them are like, I remember. And then you said it. It was, and then my Aiden, who was sitting next to me, it's the Spartacus moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
I texted you that.
Yeah. You were like, it's the Spartacus moment. And then Aiden goes, oh, it's fucking Spartacus. I just laughed so hard.
Another funny thing about this movie to me was people online are like, this movie is woke. It's too woke. And I'm like, that's not even like,
I feel like
if you were
woke is just
not,
like,
though.
Here, okay. This, I'm gonna add this to what you're saying, because I think this is really poignant. I had a thought this week because I heard someone blame the left for something or say something about something being left, right? And then I also heard another person, and this is in the real world, use the term woke. Like, well, that's just woke, whatever, right? These are real people saying this, right? And the complaint about this movie being woke, all right, those complaints no longer count for me. Like, they just don't. Mm-hmm. And here's why. Because I had a thought, and then I verbalized it this week, and I haven't been able to unthink it, and it's been correct every time since. If you are someone who is demonizing being left or woke, fucking everything is left of you, bro. Fucking everything is woke compared to you, bro.
That's a good point.
Everything. Yeah, they were like, well, that's just the left. And I'm like, you're MAGA Republican. Regular republicanism is left of you. Regular conservative values are left of you. If you say that, it means nothing. The center is left of you. Being reasonable is left of you. Yeah, right? Being a normal, decent human being at this point is woke compared to you. So anybody complaining that this movie is woke, yeah, cool, I get it. Shut up, no one cares. Everything's woke compared to your perspective, okay?
It's not woke though.
No, it's not.
There's nothing in this movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, maybe if you're a huge fan of the original, the fact that
the German fairy tale.
Yeah, I guess the fact that Snow White marches into town and overthrows the queen, that's not woke. That's just character arc.
She doesn't overthrow the entire monarchy. She still is going to be queen herself.
And let's be honest, the Bandit King and the Huntsman still help her just as much in the original.
100%.
So she's not a strong, independent woman that's taking up arms and beating up men and saving the day.
Here's what I do. Here's what I do like, even though it wasn't done well. I do like that the queen is her own undoing, right? The last thing she does is she goes back to her mirror and she's like, her denial overcomes her so much that she runs to her mirror and she's like, there's no fucking way I'm not the fairest. You've been lying. She basically is like, I don't care what you've been saying. I'm the fairest. And the mirror's like, no. Nope. And then she throws some scepter at it that probably should have been explained better too. Yeah, maybe that's magic. I don't know. But it blows up the mirror and then she just gets sucked into it. And I'm like, Oh, because her vanity consumed her. Okay, got
you know
it.
what I thought was
Also,
gonna
you
happen
didn't
in that moment?
explain that well. Like, I feel like all the metaphors are there, and I'm getting them because of my like innate love of storytelling. But I feel like a lot of people don't get that when they watch this movie. They won't get it, right?
I thought that the dad was gonna come out of the mirror after that happened. I thought she was gonna be. She'd
it kind of feels that way, right?
It kind of felt like
that
way a little bit. Like it kind of felt like
They were so vague and tenuous with these metaphors that like
With
you're
everything.
like, well, anything could happen after that.
So
like,
my overall opinion of this movie.
Yeah.
Like okay,
all right,
I'm gonna say this.
All right. Bad, fun,
Bad.
or garbage, bad,
Bad.
fun, good, or great.
It's garbage, but
Okay.
here's the thing.
It's
Like,
garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Okay.
Like it's because and here's why.
Yeah.
It's not as bad. Like it's got a 2.4 out of 10 right now on IMDb and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
No.
Okay. It's not as bad as everybody online is making it out to be.
No.
But why I consider it garbage is because this movie is nothing. There is nothing in this there's no moment that sticks out. There is nothing besides the way the music sounds, but when you dive into it a level deeper, the lyrics are pretty bad.
Okay.
The acting in a lot of scenes, and even Rachel Zegler, like I think there was times where I was like, you're not selling this for me personally.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there were a couple moments and like
Yeah.
the thing is this movie is just nothing. It moves so quick that I don't care about anything. Like gun
Yeah.
to my head, you could be like, besides Jonathan, who else were the names in the bandit? Who was the guy with the crossbow that kept saying he was the master of the crossbow? I'd be like, I don't know, Tim.
It starts
I don't
with a
fucking know his
G?
name.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like
George?
He's
I
like,
don't know.
I'm blah blah blah, master
is
of the
just-
crossbow.
Which I thought that moment was kind of
Okay.
cool at the end, but like this movie is just
Yeah, it was good.
It's so nothing. It's
Yeah.
so middle of the ground. There's nothing here. There's
Yeah.
just nothing in it for me.
And then I really hate how at the end it turns out like Dopey's the most talkative person ever and is the storyteller for the kingdom now. I'm like, you fucking
was he?
make that Doc. Yeah, because at the end it revealed Dopey's the one who's been telling the story the entire time. And I was like, this is so dumb. Like, just make it Doc. Everybody loves Doc. He's the leader. He's the guy who
dude,
would
Doc
care
was
more
okay.
about stories.
Yeah.
Make Dopey fun. Anyway, like, whatever the changes were, I'm sure there's a reason and people like it. Whatever. It's fine. I would rate this movie as bad. However, I asked myself the question, would I watch this again with a child?
No.
And the answer is yes. And so
No.
I'm going to give it fun because I would watch this if a little girl said, I want to watch the new Snow White with Rachel Zegler, I would be like, okay. And so I'm going to give it fun because I feel like kids can get something out of it, right? I'm not
Sure. Oh,
on
yeah,
my
yeah.
personal scale. Like if you came over, Odie, and you're like, we're going to watch Snow White again, I'd be like, fuck you, that movie's bad, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's garbage. I would say it's bad. Some of the newer songs are nice. I like some of the way that they change it, but I just feel like they didn't stick the landing at any point. So it's bad.
And that's the thing is like if there was more in this movie, I would probably bump it up to bad. But
Yeah, agreed.
because it's a $200 million directed by Mark Webb.
Oh,
like,
I'm not going to convince you to raise your rating on this.
No, and I'm
Yeah.
not. But like for me, garbage. Like if it was bad, this is how I think I would bump it up to bad. If I felt like I could do this movie on Magnum Opus, I would bump it up to bad. But like,
You don't even want to cover it on Magnum
how can you
Opus.
even make fun of this movie? Like it's just
I mean,
boring.
I think
boring.
it's useful to compare it to the classic and like the changes
Yeah.
that they made and like maybe reveal the intent behind it and then kind of comment on how like despite all of the good intention and creativity that went into it, it just doesn't land. And that's why so bad. Snow White's bad. What's your jam, baby?
It's
Let's
bad.
move on.
It's bad. Wait, do I have any final thoughts about Snow White?
Oh, do you?
My favorite song was the Hi Ho.
Yep.
I thought Dopey talking was stupid. Doc was my favorite character because he was the only one that I didn't like. Him and Grumpy were the best.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Huntsman was good. Wish he was in it more.
I pretty much agree with all your sentiments. I think some of the slower scenes with the Huntsman and the Bandit King are relatively unnecessary. Like, we only need to show them
Yeah.
a couple times. Also, the Queen doesn't show up in those and, like, mock them, so it gives less, like, meaning. Yeah.
Also, there's no guards in the dungeon because they just literally pull their chains out of the wall.
Also,
and then pick at the lock with a
I'm going to
bone.
let you continue talking for a second. I have to go to the bathroom really bad.
Oh.
Yep. One sec.
Other thoughts about Snow White? Let me think. Yeah, I think ultimately it just comes down to the fact that this movie doesn't do enough to tip the scale one way or another. I think that there's a lot of these movies in the Electric State, which we did talk about last week, that we were going to talk about more this week, but obviously that's not happening. But when you start putting hundreds of millions of dollars behind these movies and you get results like this, I think that's really telling at either, again, going back to my original theory, which is, you spend more money on the star power, or they just think that putting a lot of money into these movies will result in a lot of money. And though I think a lot of these scenes in Snow White specifically kind of look bad with the green screen haze effect, there are some really good practical effects that I didn't mention. There's a moment like when the queen is mixing the poison for the apple, she has like a contraption come out of her table and it spins around and it looks very real. So there are moments that look good. And another thought that I had about Gal Gadot is the way that her headdress for like the queen's
my God.
back. I'm telling them about
dude,
one thing.
I thought I was gonna make it, and then this is because of the we had issues before we started, so like I went to the bathroom right before we got on Skype, right, and I was like, okay, this will be good because like we're at an hour and a half now, and this is where we usually are, right, like an hour and a half, but it's been since we tried to start the podcast like over 2 hours. So, all right, sorry. All right.
So here's my final thought about Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
that I was saying. I think that where she falls down a lot in her performance is that the way her headdress is, it really relies on her facial emotions to really sell what she's doing.
Okay.
But her face doesn't change at all. Like she doesn't emote with her face that well. And I think that just adds an extra layer to like her, and I don't want to be mean, but also like I don't fucking care. She's a bad actress. I have not seen Gal Gadot in like I know the first Wonder Woman movie is good, and it is. She's not a good actress in it though. Like she's just not a good actress.
I don't think that there's been a single Gal Gadot movie that I've liked. I don't think.
She's just not good.
I don't think I've ever liked a movie with Gal Gadot in it, and that's nothing. Like that's not me commenting on her as a person. I just think it's an actual matter of fact that I don't think there's a single one ever. I'll look that up and report back to you on that. But ultimately, my final thoughts. I love the new Snow White song. I wish the lyrics were a little bit better, but it's well written, even though it's basically a Moana song.
I agree with you.
I like the fucking dwarf magic thing, but explain it more.
I want to spin off with them.
Also, I think where this movie really falls short for me is like you had an opportunity to return to like some classic Snow White storytelling with one of the most meaningful pieces of animated film ever and like creating a real legacy for it. And that's where the landing just doesn't stick. We're missing the glass casket. We're missing the deer heart. We're missing the things that create stakes in this story. And then all the way up to the end, nobody's grabbing weapons. They just stand there and proclaim that like they're against the queen now.
I was like, put an apple instead of a heart in the chest. I just realized that.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
That's dumb.
If I were to rate this movie on the competency of the townfolk, it is garbage because the townsfolk of Beauty and the Beast at least grab weapons to go kill something at one point,
there's a guy literally hammering a weapon when she shows up and he doesn't pick it up.
And he doesn't bring it. Why do you not bring the weapon to the coup, man?
Do you make more of those? You should probably hand them out.
I feel like if I was a villager in that town, I'd be like, nobody.
Frank, give me your sword.
I grabbed a dagger. Did anybody grab anything else? Am I the only one willing to do something here?
I got a 3-day-old bread loaf.
No wonder you all got conquered.
Snow White. I want to put this movie behind me. It was as bad as I thought it was going to be, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It was one of the movies this year that I didn't want to see, but obviously I went to go see it anyways.
Well, in good news, we got our Disney list out of the way. Now we never have to do this ever again.
Yeah. Now we get to talk about Lilo and Stitch.
We got our best Disney movies out of the way. I'll watch Lilo and Stitch. I'll go to the theater for that.
I think it's going to be good.
What's your jams this week? What you got for jams? You got some jams for me?
New jam, old jam. Jam is a... and I already kind of teased this to you. I used to be obsessed with the band The Fray. and for a really long time, I just kind of not forgot about them, but there's so much music out there, and I listened to so much that they just kind of fell aside. And they recently came off of hiatus because their lead singer back in 2022 decided that, hey, I'm done. I'm having panic attacks. My anxiety is too much for onstage performances. I'm going to go open a record shop in Washington State, which I plan to go visit now that I know that.
Yeah, that's cool.
He is the reason I love The Fray. So even though they came out with a new album called The Fray Is Back, not for me, because his voice is what sold me on loving The Fray.
Okay. Yeah, that's
like Linkin Park,
slightly raspy.
Yeah,
yeah,
like a little higher pitched.
Soulful. Yeah,
I think that's the thing with Linkin Park. Like, you change out the lead singer, still the same band, but not the same for me, kind of thing.
They definitely should have renamed, and that's not a controversial opinion on my part. That's just me going, yeah, no, you're a different band.
You're not
now.
Yeah, you're not Chester.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Fray, I fucking over my head, Cable Car, You Found Me, Syndicate,
so
Absolute.
Good. Yeah.
They're just fucking such a good band. I'm really loving them. So just a throwback to like the mid 2000s, that era. Fantastic. My second jam, and we're going to talk about this more. You know what?
What?
I'm going to tell you that off, Pat. I got an idea. It goes with my second jam. My second jam is this anime that I don't think anybody is watching called Orb. Have you seen this?
Shut the fuck up.
Have you seen Orb, Kevin?
Yes.
It's really good. Dude,
this has been going on since last
So it's about the 15th century.
I watched 25 weeks of this.
It's a simple
This show aired for half a year and was my jam multiple weeks in a row.
Okay, so I'm going to reveal something here.
Yes.
To everybody. I have purposely waited to watch Orb until it was over, so then I could come in and be like, have you heard of Orb? It's really good.
It's so good.
So here's a little spoiler. I watched the first episode weeks ago, dude.
Oh,
Never told you.
Oh, cool.
Watched it weeks ago, loved it, was like, I'm going to come back to this when I can make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
So here we are. Really fucking good. I think we should, before you leave, because I know you're going to go on, you have a little break coming up.
Yep.
We should try to get a 20-minute, let's just talk about Orb. Quick bonus episode, just talk
100%.
about Orb.
Yeah,
I'm
in on that. Dude, that show's phenomenal. The opening line is a little kid just going, everybody in the world's a fool. I was like, okay. This is where we're going. I like this. Yeah.
And this is what hooks me for so many animes. It's beautiful. Like, it's all about the night sky, and the animation for the sky is
so perfect.
Just
dude, everything about it, the way that it ends, like, I'm not gonna spoil anything here, but like I was so happy when it got, because I saw that there were 25 episodes. And then it got to episode 25, and I was like, please be the end. I didn't think that the whole time, but when I first started up, I'm like, please let this just be the last episode. I don't want Orb Season 2 because of how good it's been. And then it got to the end, and it said, Orb on the movements of the earth, the end. And I was like, thank you. Like, I was already crying. I told you, I cried at the end of this. It's so meaningful. For a show... We'll talk about it more, but for a show that's an anime that's not in our language, you have to watch it with subtitles currently.
Which is honestly, as somebody who's not usually a subtitle fan for animes,
it's great.
I kind of like this a little bit.
Thank you. But yeah, like
it's pretty fucking good
for a show that has a lot of things working against it for most modern American viewers. It's so phenomenal, and I love that over the past half year, because I've been sending this to you as the hype is building around it, because the first week I watched it, I came to the pod and was like, hey, I watched the show. It's really good. And then like a month later, I was like, hey, look, somebody else watched the show. Like, and then like a few months later, I'm like, hey, a lot of people are talking about the show now. It's good. I like the way that's built up.
It is good.
Good. I'm glad. And like I said to you earlier this week, welcome. Welcome to enjoying peak anime.
You know why I like dubbed anime so much, though?
Because you can put it on in the background.
Well, no, anime is not. So anime is never something I put on in the background. If I'm putting anime on, unless I'm like when I rewatched One Punch Man, that was a background. But if I'm watching an anime for the first time, my attention is locked in, because anime has some of the best storytelling. I like the dubcast because they use a lot of the same voice actors, and I've just kind of fallen in love with a lot of them.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I love that Matt Mercer is Sakamoto. That's sick.
I fucking love
Yep.
Mercer.
Anyways,
me too. What's your jams?
So my jams, I also have an old jam and a new jam. Since we were talking about Disney movies, there was a movie that I remember as a kid lumping into the Disney movie category. And then even as an adult, as we were doing this list, I thought of this movie again and went back to it. It's not a Disney movie, but very much falls into the vein. And it is the movie The Page Master. Have you ever seen the movie The Page Master?
You know what?
What?
I have not seen it, but I have watched a YouTube video about it.
It is.
So I know about it.
Okay, so The Page Master has, I think it's Macaulay Culkin. I can't remember the little boy actor, but there's a little boy, and he is a statistical genius, and he is afraid of fucking everything. He basically is like a little insurance agent. He's like, Dad, you know, most of the accidents that you could have in life happen in the home. He bubble boys himself. Like, he doesn't need the bubble. His bubble is his own trepidatiousness, right? And then he goes to, of all places in the world, a library. One of the safest places you could possibly be. And he meets Christopher Lloyd. And Christopher Lloyd is just like an eccentric dude. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, these books can take you places. And then the boy like slips on water that's falling off of his own coat. One of the simplest things, knocks himself out, wakes up, and the whole world dissolves and turns into fucking Fantasia land. But there's books that can talk, and they take him on all these adventures. And when he wakes back up from having knocked himself in the head, he's like, you know what? I'm not afraid of life anymore. And I fucking love that movie so much. There's so many great like literary allegories in that movie, and it shows you like the movie is at once explaining to you how books can translate lessons, but at the same time how you also need to learn them yourself. What are you doing?
I'm trying to find this movie, but
The Page Master? It's fucking phenomenal. Anyway.
Dude, why can't I find it?
I don't know, but it's totally something you could talk about on Magnum Opus. Like, I feel like people would watch a video on The Page Master. I would watch. Actually, you know what, Odie?
There it is.
I'm submitting a request.
It was Macaulay Culkin.
Thank you. I'm submitting a request, Odie. I would like you to cover The Page Master on Magnum Opus. I don't think I've ever requested anything of you on Magnum Opus.
Nobody's requested anything on
I
Magnum
would
Opus.
like you to cover The Page Master. And I'm going to maybe not make it a habit, but if something comes up like this, I am going to request you cover it on Magnum Opus because this is a phenomenal movie. It is a hidden gem. It is kind of like a forgotten classic. I remember playing on the playground as kids and like referencing that movie with my friends, you know, because we had all seen it. We were like, oh, did you see The Page Master? And then what?
I was going to say I added it to my list.
There we go. All right, so The Page Master for sure. That's my old jam. I have a newer jam, which is Joey Valance and Bray. Have you ever heard these guys?
I have not.
Bro, Joey Valance and Bray are filling a gap in the music industry that I did not know needed to be filled or that I wanted to be filled. And that is the gap that was left in the wake of new Beastie Boys material being properly produced. They are rapping in an old school, like 90s Beastie Boys style, and everything that they do is fucking phenomenal. I can't recommend it enough. But then they're bringing on like modern rappers. So there's like this old school, like, that's the best way to describe it. There's like a Beastie Boys feel to it, like 90s hip hop feel, but then they're bringing in modern rappers to feature on all the tracks and stuff too. There's even like Interlude 2 is probably my favorite track on the entire like album from last year called No Hands. And it opens up with, you hand me a bagel, I'm gonna eat that shit. Like, I was just like, hell yeah. Like,
okay.
It's so good. Yeah. Joey Valance and Bray crushing it. And that's the end of our podcast this week. Odie, would you like to thank anybody for anything? Would you like to thank Gal Gadot for her wonderful acting or anything like that?
Let me
you interested in doing something like that?
Yeah, let me read off my thank yous.
Yep. What are your thank yous?
I would like to thank you, thank Mark Webb and Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot for giving me one of the least favorite movies of the year so far. I would like to thank Disney for being a heartless corporation that constantly pumps out remakes, retakes, requels, sequels, and reboots.
Yeah, why are they doing that?
I also want to thank everybody that's coming to help me move. If you're not coming to help me move, you're dead to me.
Fuck off.
Even though I paid these people.
Woo!
But if you didn't come do it for free, and you don't know where I live, then you're dead to me.
Okay.
So
cool. I'm gonna go play
everybody.
I'm gonna go play a level 20 D&D one shot with some friends this afternoon. That's what I'm doing. I'm not doing. I'm moving. I don't know why. I'm not doing anything. I'm moving. Thank you to all of our listeners for embracing the absurdity of life with us. Thanks for listening. This is another episode of the UnPop Podcast. We're done. Art by Frank Ace. Music by moi. Thank you to everybody for listening. Make sure you go check out Magnum Opus, the YouTube channel run by Chef Odie themselves.
Also, go check out Odie Matthews, my YouTube channel, which is back
of
yesterday with gear and bag and travel review tips, tricks, and everything else in between.
Hell yeah.
Odie Matthews is back after a year-long hiatus.
You're running 2 YouTube channels now.
2 YouTube channels, baby.
2 YouTube channels, baby. And then we also are uploading this podcast to YouTube. Odie Matthews all over YouTube. Soon to be YouTube celebrity. I'm just going to be riding their coattails. That's how this is going. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about our mental health, or want us to podcast live at your funeral, email mysecretpoweris@gmail.com. Peace.
Bye.